a lot. I mean, to go anywhere for 6 times is already a luxury, because you can build on the work that you do the first time, and then you know everyone, and you know the hall, you know the audience, you know the setup, and so you don't have to start from scratch, from nothing, every time. So it's a luxury to come back to an orchestra like this, which of course is fantastic, every year, and I really enjoy it, and I feel almost at home now.
Well, thank you. I'm of course very happy and very honored to be here. My pianistic start is almost boring, because both of my parents were pianists. So there was kind of no choice, and at the same time many choices, because as a child, as a kid, I was really interested in many different things, and I was thinking I would study linguistics and etymology, etc. But in one moment I understood that it would be really difficult for me to live without music in the first place, and then without the piano. So I decided to direct all my forces to that. I studied in various places, and my road was mostly made through participation in different piano competitions. Then I finally got very high prizes in competitions like Busoni, and first prize at Maria Canals competition in Barcelona, first prize at piano competition in Cleveland. Actually, it was Cleveland in 2009 that opened a very big international road for me, especially with concerts in the United States, but I was already playing in Europe a lot. So, I'm very privileged also to be invited to the same places over and over again. Actually, they are, musical friendships and musical collaborations that are actually really, really important for me. The past year has been very successful. It was, sometime after COVID, it took for everybody to actually get back to kind of normal. But then the past year and some months were kind of really intense for me. Once again, I performed and made my debut at Elbphilharmonie Hamburg with the State Orchestra of Hamburg, playing Shostakovich Piano Concerto. I made my debut at Beaux-Arts in Brussels. I went to the Schleswig-Holstein Music Festival and to the Mittag Festival in Milan. So right now I'm very, very happy and overjoyed to be here for the first time with the OFUNAM. We're doing the Grieg Piano Concerto, a very, very dear piece in the repertoire. So it's going to be
Well, of course, you can't make comparisons that much, because you don't want to offend anyone, but I love the Mexican public. The Mexican audience is really wonderful. Also, I feel that I know the hall so well, and I think maybe people have seen me conduct now for several times. So they almost feel that they recognize me, and I recognize at least the energy or the feeling in the hall, and it's a wonderful feeling. I mean, I remember last time with the Bolero at the end of the concert, there was just an incredible energy in the hall. Of course, it's the piece as well, but they are possibly less reserved than the European audience. Stand up and clap and scream bravo, which is always, of course, the best thing that you could hope for after a concert. But also they listen very attentively. You can tell that if a piece is going really well, if the concert is really happening well, that the audience is listening. And so those two sides of an audience like this are really, really special.
Well, Mexico is such a huge country, and Mexico City is a really big city. So there is always this feeling of coming to cities, that have 15 or 20 plus million inhabitants, knowing that it's such a booming place and that everything around is actually so intense. And of course, I've heard about OFUNAM, that it's a fantastic orchestra and that the hall is amazing. I saw pictures, and hopefully I will learn to pronounce the name these days. Expectations are an ungrateful thing to say, because I think expectations are probably more on me than on me from everybody else. I'm hoping that I'll be able to do my best, and I'm hoping for a good collaboration and a good rapport with the orchestra. I'm looking forward to the audience, because as Maestro Larsen said, the Mexican audience and generally the audience in Latin America is very friendly and very, very, very supportive.
Well, it's very interesting, because she was the first female composer to graduate from the National Conservatory of Mexico. And of course, that's actually reason enough to do the piece. It's an early piece in her work. And you can tell that she was influenced by various European composers. It's a very charming piece. it's really interesting to think, of course we won't know from this piece, but to think what would have happened, how she would have developed if she had actually been played, if her music had been played, that she'd had the chance to hear it and then work on her individual style. So it's, in a way, it's kind of looking back and thinking, we're trying to give her this chance, it's a little bit too late, but give her this chance to be heard. And it's very, very interesting historically to see that there was music being written by female composers in Mexico in the 1870s, which nobody in Europe would
and conducted by a very
of.
wonderful
Wow. Do my best.
maestra.
Well, for sure, I feel grateful for the opportunity because I have to give a personal example because recently I became the artistic director of the most famous festival in Croatia, the Dubrovnik Festival, and it's so interesting to be on the other side of the mirror of our work because now being the artistic director, I realize that there are so many great artists and it's so difficult to choose an artist for a particular context and for a particular occasion. And now that I am even more aware of this fact, I feel actually even more deeply grateful for every opportunity that I get as a pianist because I understand that the orchestra and that the organization and that the artistic director can choose between 20, 30, 40 really good artists. And this time again, they chose me for some reason. So thank you, and I will do my absolute best.
Yeah.
Well,
of course, the conductor is always right. Totally tell her what to do, and I won't take any credit.
I am so much looking forward to that.
No, it's I can already tell it's going to be a great collaboration. That whole thing about the dialogue between the piano and the orchestra, and of course between the personalities and everyone involved. Also with the solo woodwinds and the horns, and there's everything. Everyone's just as important in this kind of piece. But of course, some are more important than others. I really love accompanying. It's one of the challenges about conducting, which really attracts me. And I really like to hope that the soloists will be able to do whatever they want to do, and I will follow and take the orchestra with me and with us. And I hope that it can be different every time, and we'll go with it, and we'll just try and find our individual way of speaking to each other, and especially in the concert, and it should be a lot of fun. That's it's a great thing for the audience to see is this kind of dialogue going on stage, a very, very large piece of chamber music.
I would completely agree with Maestro Larsen that it's a large piece of chamber music, and I treat pretty much almost every piano concerto like that, with some exceptions. It's a very interesting mix, of extremely solo parts and very symphonic parts, but then a lot of, of course sometimes you have moments when the piano is really just accompanying the orchestra, so one even has to observe those from a chamber music perspective, knowing which part is important, which part can you lead, and which part would be extremely egoistic to put yourself first. I find it really great that, we have a very compact schedule. It's a very intense schedule, but on the other hand, we do have 2 performances, and I always love that because 2 performances and a dress rehearsal give us, a chance more to explore this work together and to listen to each other and to maybe, hopefully, do something better the next day. That's always exciting. When it comes to the Grieg piano concerto, I come from a Slavic background, actually Croatian-Italian mixture, and however find it really important to not mix the Scandinavian aesthetics of beauty with the Slavic or with the kind of, very Eastern European way of playing and with a very Eastern European sentiment and way of expressing things. I find that, especially if you go to Norway and if you see the house in which Grieg composed and if you see the landscapes, the emotion is very deep, but it's not openly, extrovertedly, violently passionate like Rachmaninoff, or even Rachmaninoff isn't actually, but it shouldn't be treated in any way that's overly sentimental and kitschy. I believe that there can be made a balance between feeling things very deeply, but remaining with a kind of very northern aesthetics.
Yeah, it's really amazing for me to do this piece. I have to say it's the first time that I'm doing this piece, and it's been a long-term dream of mine to do this piece. It's an English repertoire for me. It's very close to my heart, and as a bassoonist years ago, I played the piece a few times, and it's quite amazing to sit in the middle of this huge orchestra. But it's actually even more amazing to stand in front of it. What a privilege to, and we've just had it. We run through the piece today and worked on some places, and it's, I mean, as you say, it's absolutely monumental. It's very, very loud, but there are also incredibly soft, beautiful, romantic parts. It's really got everything. I mean, there's 7 almost tone poems, really. Just each movement just has its own character, which doesn't really change. And the fascinating and fun thing is how to draw out that character out of the music, and how to change the articulation or make it more beautiful, or maybe sometimes a little bit harsh if it's the bringer of war, or how do you actually conduct a piece which is about old age? You know, it's not just slow; it has to have a certain atmosphere about it, and there's so much to do in the piece, and it's a very thankful piece to conduct. I found this morning because it's. I shouldn't give it away really, but I think it sounds more difficult than it is. Maybe we don't need to say that. But I've done all kinds of repertoire here. I've been very lucky to do quite a lot of pieces for me for the first time here. And last time we had this very difficult program with not Bolero, which is not so difficult, but with Jeu, the Debussy Jeu, which is really, really difficult. You know, it's very, very delicate, and each bar is a different tempo, and it's also rarely played, so the orchestra has to almost start from nothing. Whereas this piece is quite well known. You can tell the orchestra's played it, and it was already sounding really great. They're doing a marvellous job, sounding really wonderful this morning already, and I think it's going to be a fantastic concert.
I don't wish, because I'm sure you're going to have a very complete, fantastic and successful concert with this piano concerto, with Holst and with this Mexican composer. So I'm wishing to see you on Sunday and Saturday, and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy it a lot.
I'm sure too.
Both together.
Yeah.
You're going to make magic. You're going to make magic on stage, and that is so good. So thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it, and can't wait to see you together.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much.
And last.